Hi, I'm Victoria Lee. I'm a senior. It's Rob Safran, also a senior. So we're doing bullying and teen depression. So we would first like to start off by saying that our goal is not to end bullying and teen depression, but simply to raise awareness of the severity of the issues. Although it may not be prevalent in the Tenafly the same way it is in other towns, Tenafly has adapted and found new ways of bullying, whether the bully knows it or not. Depression is also something many teens battle with, and majority of the time, it is not something that is obvious and or shared. However, there are always stories of teenagers, sometimes even kids, who have struggled for too long and could no longer handle the situation, either because they were being bullied or they felt like they had no one to turn to. This is why I have decided to stem off my inquiry and to also collaborate with Rob. My inquiry question was, how can a traumatic event affect a person? And in my opinion, bullying is very traumatic to certain people, and it is a major cause for teen depression. Although the books I read are not related to my action project, I chose it because I wanted to work on something that can relate to students in high school and to help them. The world has changed a lot over the years, and bullying is no longer face-to-face or even physical. Everything occurs online nowadays. There's cyberbullying, which Rob will speak about, and Finstagram, which I will elaborate more on later.
Hi, I'm Rob.
Can we get the next slide?
Oh yeah, can we move to the...
All right, next one,
Okay,
actually.
so my topic is bullying, and my inquiry question was, how do the actions of those around us influence the way that we act as individuals? So I thought that Victoria and my topics went together well, bullying and teen depression, because bullying can influence a person in a way where they could fall into a state of depression. The book that I read, one of the books that I read for my inquiry project was Native Son by Richard Wright. Just by a show of hands, how many of you have read that book? Native Son. It's an incredible book. I suggest all of you read it. So in the book, Bigger Thomas is living in early 19th century Chicago with his family, his mother, his brother, and sister. He's the oldest. And he has a lot of hardships in his life. They're poor. They don't live with a father. Bigger needs to provide the income. He needs to have a job. He needs to be the one who helps out the family. He's part of a gang. He has a girlfriend. He has a boss, and he works for the boss's daughter. He drives her around. He's a chauffeur. And what I find is that all these people in the book and in his life influence him in a way where they cause him to crack. When I read a book, or even when I watch a movie, I find that from minute one, I'm always rooting for the protagonist. I'm always hoping that they're going to overcome whatever hardships or unfortunate foibles that fall in their path. With Bigger, that wasn't the case later on in the book, because at one point he commits a murder of his boss's daughter, and then trying to cover that up, he murders his girlfriend, Bessie. So you find that you're not really rooting for him as much anymore. But this is just because of the way that he responded to the influential figures in his life and the way that these people changed who he was. So now I'll tell you a little bit about bullying. Bigger doesn't get bullied in the book, but I found that he was influenced like a bully would influence a person into a state of depression. He was influenced into this state of panic where he felt the need to act impulsively, and it forced him to do the wrong thing. So bullying is the use of force, threat, or coercion to abuse, intimidate, or aggressively dominate others. The behavior is often repeated and habitual. One essential prerequisite is perception, and that's something that Victoria and I will get into a little bit later. Perception is something by the bully or by others of an imbalance of social or physical power, which distinguishes bullying from conflict. Behaviors used to assert such domination include verbal harassment or threat, physical assault or coercion, and such acts may be directed repeatedly towards particular targets. Rationalizations for such behavior sometimes include differences of social class, race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, appearance, behavior, body language, personality, reputation, lineage, strength, size, or ability. Can you go to the next slide, please? One of the most prevalent forms of bullying that we can relate to at THS is probably cyberbullying. We'll get into Finstagram in a little bit, which is one way that we experience it here at Tenafly. Cyberbullying is the use of social networks to repeatedly harm or harass other people in a deliberate manner. According to U.S. legal definitions, cyberbullying could be limited to posting rumors or gossips about a person on the internet, bringing about hatred in others' minds. Or it may go to the extent of personally identifying victims and publishing materials defaming them and humiliating them. Next slide.
Okay, before I get into Finstagram, I'm just gonna focus on my topic quickly, teen depression. So teen depression is a serious medical problem that causes a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest in activities. It affects how a teen thinks, feels, and behaves, and it can cause emotional, functional, and physical problems. When a teen is struggling, the chances are that many people don't know about it and don't notice it. Some people may be acting in a way that causes that person more pain without realizing it. Depression is not an uncommon thing in high school due to high stress, teen angst, drama, and many more contributors. There are many factors that lead to depression, not only bullying, but bullying can be the catalyst that brings a person over the edge. There are, of course, situations where bullying is the only issue, maybe along with self-esteem problems that can cause a person to fall into depression. But depression is also something that can run in a family, so certain people are more prone to it, and certain words that are irrelevant to some people can cause pain to others. But moving on to Finstagram, can we get the next slide? Okay, so Finstagram, it's something that has been going on. I think this year it became very popular, and it's mostly popular among the female population. It's a fake Instagram, which is another form of social media that mostly girls use as a way to vent or to attack others. There have been many cases where girls single-handedly call out one another. Although they may not be following that certain person, the chances of them hearing about it is very high. Using Finsta to hurt others is not only done by attacking them, but it may also be unintentional sometimes. They can post a picture of someone that may be their friend that portrays them in a bad light. This adds to the issue of how friends can bully friends without even knowing it or knowing how it is affecting the other person.
Can we get the next slide?
Oh.
That's just an example of what an Instagram looks like. I'm sure you all are familiar with that.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Okay, so another type of bullying is behind the back, and it's very self-explanatory. All it really is when someone goes behind someone's back to spread rumors without their knowing. And this includes like gossip and saying something negative about them, ultimately hoping that it will get back to them. Next slide.
Okay, so just like the GIF says in the slide, gay, straight, retarded, why do we have to put labels on everything? Well, we're talking about perception. Perception is when sometimes a person is saying something offensive, but they don't see it in that way. Everybody thinks differently and they have different opinions on certain things. A bully doesn't always know that they are bullying, and someone's problems that cause them to be depressed are more or less severe than someone else's, but those are the problems that they are facing, and it should never be compared to others. And friends are often teasing other friends even though they don't think about the consequences of what they're doing. So maybe they can insult someone and call them fat or stupid, but they'll think that the other person is just assuming that they're joking, but they might take it in a different way. So it's just perception.
Yeah, so just to conclude everything, we know that we're not going to be able to prevent bullying from occurring at THS or anywhere else, but we hope that bringing attention to this and raising awareness will help you reflect a little more, look at your lives, and reconsider before maybe you say something about someone else or make a Finstagram post.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone.
You guys can answer the questions. That'd be awesome.